Every single year, the footballing season throws up plenty of shocks, whether it's teams that we expect to not perform great, doing really well, or teams that we thought would have a great season, massively underperforming. And perhaps the biggest example of that this season was Sassuolo. The Italian side have been in Serie A for over 10 years and have been a mainstay in the division, with great players passing through and even getting European football not too long ago. But this year, it did not go well. They found themselves relegated, nearly rock bottom, 19th place of the top division, and now they will play their football in Serie B. They need some help in, and that's where I'm going to step in as manager. That's right, today's rebuild takes us to Italy, to the club that was founded just over 100 years ago, and whilst their trophy cabinet might be pretty light, you can see they've had some really steady progress over the last 20 years or so, and have been a mainstay in the top flight. This is the first time in a long while they've had a real big decline, so we're going to need to steady the ship at the club. I've got 5 years to do so, and I'm not just going to try and get them promoted, I'm going to try and win Serie A. Getting out of Serie B though might not be too tough when we've got stars at the club like Domenico Berardi, as well as talented French winger Armand Lorient, and a technically gifted midfielder Maxime Lopez. And they're just a few of the Serie A quality players that we have here in the second tier of Sassuolo, but we also have some great young players at the club too. Take Josh Doig for example, a 21-year-old Scotsman who is one of the most promising left backs at the club, as well as the promising former Roma man Filippo Mazzori, and the 18-year-old Italian Luca Lipani who has great potential. But they're not the only good players, we've got plenty of great talents as you can see. We've got Bajrami, Erlich, and even an Italian international in Andrea Pinamonti. And because of those great players we've got, we are predicted to storm to the title. 4 to 11 odds of winning it. You would barely make any money if you did bet on Sassuolo to win the league. That's how talented they are. But we can make the team even better still because we have a transfer budget of 12 million, and whilst we aren't allowed to put anything in the wage budget just yet, a few sales should sort that. But now it's time for me to make some transfers and improve this team before our first season to ensure we get back to Serie A. And you might have noticed as well, I do have a transfer update on that I've downloaded online. It's accurate as to about a week ago I believe, so any transfers that have been made in or out should be reflected in game, but I can't say for sure if every single one has been. But either way, it's time to put our own spin on this team now and bring some players in. And even though this team was already very good, this might have been one of the busiest first transfer windows we've ever had in a rebuild. Plenty of players leaving, not wanting to play in the second tier, but plenty of good incomings too. Up first, I tried to clear the wage bill by moving on Pedro Obiang. The former West Ham player has gone to join Alaves out in Spain for 115k. One of our striker options has also left. Gregor Defrel has gone to join Rennes as a squad player, age 32. He's been at Sassuolo for a while. They signed him, got rid of him, signed him again by the looks of it. He scored a few goals in his tenure here, but not enough, so we have now moved him on for £350,000. Also leaving the club was Giacomo Manzari, who has left to join Palermo, who are also in Serie B with us this year. He's gone for a fee of £625,000. Not crazy fees, but enough to add to our transfer budget. But our biggest departure was Martin Erlich, one of our best defenders, but as soon as Bologna came in for him, he said he wanted to go and he'd be upset if he had to stay, so I thought, you know what, let's just cut ties. We got some decent money for the 25-year-old, not crazy, but 3.9 million is more than what Sassuolo originally paid for him, so we can take that money and try and reinvest it. And reinvest we did, because our first incoming is Andrea Papetti, a 21-year-old Italian centre-back, not quite at a star level just yet, but has the potential to be one of our best in the defence. He is signed for a fee of £2 million from Brescia, no additional fees on top of that, so I think this should be a pretty good deal. Serie B is probably his level for now, but this is a great time for him to develop, hopefully for when we get back into Serie A. Speaking of players that we want to develop, I've also picked up Vivaldo Semedo, who is a Portuguese 18-year-old striker who we have spent £2 million on from Udinese, formerly of Sporting Club de Portugal. He's played a few times for the Italian side, but not enough. He wanted to leave them, so we swooped in. £2 million was the fee. Arsenal were trying to buy him as well, but they ended up pulling out, so we get him, and seems like it could be a pretty big coup for us. And don't laugh at me for this final signing, but our new incoming centre-back is Malang Sarr, formerly of Chelsea. The 24-year-old was available on the transfer list for £3 million. It seemed like a good deal, I thought. I know he is a bit of a meme player at Chelsea, and for, being at the club and being on a massive wage packet, but we've managed to get him in for £28,000 a week. He is one of our better defenders, left-footed, good with the ball at his feet, and can also play left-back at a push, so I think this could work out for us. So our team is looking very good for our first season, but it will depend how they can cope with the pressure of being favourites, but we already have a very good starting 11. You'll see the tactic I've gone for is a little bit extreme. I'm going for a 4-2-4 tactic, and we're going to try and stick with it in this rebuild, even if it will mean likely scoring a lot, but probably we are going to ship a lot of goals. But let's check out what is currently considered our best 11. In net is Stefano Turati, who has been at Sassuolo for a number of years now. He's a very good young goalkeeper, and fingers crossed he can grow to be one of the best in the nation with the football that he's going to get. At right back, we have the experienced 29-year-old Toljan, who is a very good option, but Missouri, who we saw earlier, the youngster, isn't too far behind him. Our best centre-back pairing is now supposedly Ruan, a Brazilian 24-year-old, and Malang Sarr, with Josh Doig at left back, Maxime Lopez in the middle, alongside Daniel Boloka, who is a Romanian 24-year-old. Then going forward, we have the brilliant Domenico Berardi, who's going to tear up the second tier, I'm sure, with Loriente Pinamonti, who is a fantastic striker, and also Samuel Mulattieri, who is a 22-year-old forward with a lot of potential too, and that's not even counting lots of the youngsters that we've got on the bench. This team is a very, very good one, but this will be a great season to see who we can rely upon and who might be a player that we need to ship on if we are going to try and push for that title in 5 years. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to get promoted first, so let's simulate the season and see how we do in Season 1. And as expected, our first season was very successful for a bunch of different reasons actually, but the main one was our performance in the Serie B competition. Our quality saw us get results like a 5-1 win at Pisa, with this goal from Lopez being the pick of the bunch. We were beating good Serie A sides like Bari 8-2, with this being a great goal in the game, but also grinding out results against some of the other promotion candidates, like this goal that helped us beat Sampdoria 1-0. And as expected, we dominated the league, 93 points, we won the title, a comfortable promotion, over 20 points more than second place, and a far greater goal difference, which does bode well for the future of this tactic and this team. Some of our promotion candidates that you would have expected to be there, like Sampdoria and Spezia, did not do great, but we are not going to complain. We had a brilliant year in the league, but it wasn't just a league where we performed well, because we were also in the Italian Cup. And we did make it all the way to the quarter-final, where we were drawn against AC Milan, and as you can see, no one really turned up to watch this game, where they went 1-0 up after 27 minutes. Not too long afterwards though, we pounced on a defensive error from the Milan side. Lorient went forward into the box, managed to pull the ball across to Mulattieri, who equalised, and it took all the way until the 70th minute for the next goal, when Berardi received the ball in the area and hit a brilliant header past the goalkeeper. And we might have been comfortable 2-1 up, but we pounced on an error from Tomori to make it 3, and this tactic is not one to stop and sit on a result. It just scored tons and tons of goals, and we went 4-1 up against AC Milan. Yunus Musa was then able to add a goal back for AC Milan though in the 83rd minute, but the goal didn't help them that much, because we won 4-2 and we managed to qualify for the next round of the Italian Cup. We beat AC Milan, now we had to play Inter, and it didn't take long for them to score against us, as they went 1-0 up through Dumfries. They added a second not too long after that, another cross ending up in the back of our net, and then a Calhanoglu penalty finished us off. We lost 3-0, but we could not be too disappointed. We had managed to knock out AC Milan and make it pretty far in the Italian Cup. So yes, we were successful in both the league and also the cup, but another way we were successful was the development of some of our young players. I'd ask the assistants play these guys on screen as often as possible. You can see Turati has developed very well over the last year or so, being our main goalkeeper. Missouri got a lot of football at right back and is now a good Serie B level player, hopefully good enough for Serie A too. Josh Doig has been fantastic all season, managing to get a 7.55 rating and 16 assists from left back, whilst I asked also for Luca Lipani to play as much as possible in the middle, and he has developed to a really good level for a player that is only 18. And whilst they were some of our best performers, I've got to mention the likes of Pinamonti, Berardi, Loriente, Orient and Morrow, who scored a ton of goals between them, 10, 20, 30, 40, 70, 80 goals over, I think, between just those guys, 16 goals from Mulletieri as well, 7 from Lipani. We had goals all over the pitch, some top performances, so we dominated Serie B, but now this is where the challenge really begins. We'll be heading back to Serie A, looking to solidify ourselves in the top tier. With 600 grand of transfer budget and 278,000 pounds of wage budget, I definitely need to try and redistribute that a little bit to give us some money to spend. There you go, about 8 million to spend in the next transfer window, but I think this team will need some big improvements if we want to be a comfortable team in Serie A. So let's make some transfers. And we made some great signings and also some pretty good sales too in Season 2 here. Lots of great transfers to check out. But before we do, I'm going to ask you guys to do me a massive favour. If you could, scroll down and hit the like button for me. It's free to do. You can forget you ever did it, but it really does help me out here on the channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do so. We are closing in on 40,000 subscribers. We want to try and get there as soon as possible ahead of FM25. So if you are watching and you enjoy these rebuilds, we do them weekly. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and let me know who you want to see in the next rebuild. Every one we do is based on your suggestions, so drop them in the comments down below. And the final thing is, if you want to support me as a creator, you can find my Patreon linked in the description. Over there, not only can you support me, but in return, if you do decide to join us on there, you will get access to the save files from Season 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 of every rebuild that we do here on the channel. So you can take over and try and do a better job than I did, or continue this rebuild once we're done. But with all those plugs out the way, let's go see the transfers. Firstly, leaving the club was Uros Rakic. He did not want to stay. The Serbian 26-year-old has signed for Como, who did manage to stay up in Serie A in their first season. He has moved there for a fee of 1.1 million, only played 3 times for us last year, so I don't think it's going to be a massive loss to the team. Another midfielder sold was Andrea Guion, who has gone to join Brianza, also known in real life as Monza, for a fee of 1.5 million. He's been at the club for a number of years, came through the academy, but again, only played 1 time for us last year, so he wasn't someone that we had to keep. So when we got the transfer interest, it made sense to move him on. But our 2 biggest sales were these. Firstly, the Albanian international 25-year-old Nedim Bajrami has left the team. He has gone to join Fiorentina for 5.5 million. Another one where he was signed by Sassuolo and we have moved him on pretty quickly because he didn't play much for us last year. Nothing to do with the quality of player, he is clearly good, but the tactic doesn't really suit a number 10 in this system, so it made sense to shift him on, get that cash back and reinvest. The only transfer I didn't really want to make though was Maxime Lopez, our heartbeat of the midfield, our star midfielder. The 26-year-old Frenchman, as you can see, was rated very highly by us, but he has moved to Juventus. He rejected a Saudi Arabian side to go there. He was brilliant last year for us, but now he goes to Juve for 12 million, rising to 14. It's not a terrible fee. It is pretty much his valuation, so we haven't really been done in the transfer market. We've got a good bit of money for him, but we were able, thankfully, to reinvest all of that and bring in some top talents. Firstly, a new striking option. Sebastian Esposito, the 22-year-old Italian forward, has joined us on a fee of £2.9 million from Inter Milan. He was transfer listed. He did okay at Bari in his season there. He's done all right at Basel as well, not amazing, but he is now with us and I'm hoping we can see the player that he clearly has the potential to be. He should be a good player for us, but only time will tell. £7 million was then spent on a new centre-back option, Diogo Coppola, another one for the future. The Italian 20-year-old is a good player, but has a lot of promise still. He joins from Hellas Verona, where he did play Serie A football last year, so he should be ready for this kind of level. Even if he didn't play too well, I don't feel like £7.5 million was the worst fee ever for him. But our Maxime Lopez replacement is the Norwegian 23-year-old Marcus Solbakken, who is already an international for his country, is coming in as one of the best players at the club. He's good defensively, he's good on the ball too, a brilliant midfield option that we have signed from Sparta Prague for 7 million quid. Formerly a Viking, moved to the Czech Republic, did well over there, and now he's going to Italy to be a Sassuolo player, and that was our transfers done. So not the most changes you've ever seen, but we did make some deals in Season 1. We are also trying to give a clear path for our young players to develop, but this is now our best 11. It's Tarati in goal with Toljan at right back. Papetti makes it into our ideal back line line alongside Sarr and Josh Doig. We've got Baloka, Solbakken, Berardi, Llorente, Pinamonte and Mulatieri. Just to show you as well, Petty's first year did go pretty well. He got a 7 average match rating, not bad for a £2 million signing. But our team is looking okay here. I don't think it's amazing, but there's a lot of promise in some of these players. I think if we can just hold on in the division for another season or so, we'll start seeing a lot of their potential lived up to. And thankfully, we are not predicted relegation. We're predicted 11th place, 150 to 1 odds of winning the title. Definitely not bad. There is clearly some hope there that we will stay up. Ideally, we should actually be finishing mid-table. So let's see how we can do in Season 2. And I'll be honest, Season 2 was a very confusing year. We were good in some aspects, terrible in some others. We won some games by big margins, we lost some games by huge margins also. A very strange season, but let's start off with the negatives, and that was the Italian Cup. Last year, you'll remember we managed to knock out AC Milan. This time though, it was Como in the second round who came up against us, and pretty early on scored a goal past Turati, and that was that. They managed to keep the game at 1-0, they managed to knock us out, and our Italian Cup run ended before it even began. And as mentioned in the league, we struggled in some games and smashed it in others. Take this game against Bologna for example, where this goal from Xerxes signified what would eventually be a 4-0 win. Roma scored in the 10th minute to start off a game that would eventually beat us 3-0. And despite filling out a packed out home stadium to face off against Inter Milan, we were extremely disappointing. Whilst they were a big club, they went on to beat us 4-1. So as you can see, we were shipping a lot of goals, but it did mean in some games we scored a ton also. One of our best results was this home match against Juventus, where we managed to score early on in what would eventually be a 5-0 win, and despite going 2 goals down to Lazio, Esposito scored in the 47th minute in what would eventually be a 6-2 victory for us. So as you can see, the year was just very confusing. We started off well, we then lost every game for a month, had a mixed bag, another mixed bag, then went on a bit of a losing and draw streak, and then finished the season by winning a few games. And that led to a pretty respectable finish. 10th place, 57 points, not too far away from Europe, but also not, miles clear of everybody else in the league. It was a good season, a middle ground season, 17 wins, 15 losses, 12 goal difference across the course of a season, managing to beat the likes of Roma in the league, but everyone you'd expect to finish above us pretty much did. One of the most interesting stats though is the fact that we scored more goals than pretty much every single team in the league with 78, but unfortunately we also conceded some of the most, finishing off with 66 goals going in our net. So almost certainly our tactic isn't doing the best job of not conceding at the minute, but it is certainly doing the job in terms of scoring goals. And if I know anything, if we keep playing like this, we're going to get some big offers from our players, the ones that keep scoring. Berardi got 20 goals this season, Pinamonte got 18, Luca Moro got 9, Josh Doig got 7 from left back, a phenomenal season for him. And again, it was just another year of growth for our young players. The one that's really standing out to me so far though is Lipani, who is now 20 years of age and a fantastic midfield option, classed as a wonder kid too. He clearly has a big future. And speaking of the future, we go into Season 3 with £10 million to spend. We'll have to adjust that a little bit to work in the wage budget. It won't be much money. We might have to make a few sales if we want to really improve the squad, but I'll see what I can do in the Season 3 transfer window. So in Season 1, I felt like we did pretty well in the transfer market. In Season 2, we were a little bit more reserved, but in Season 3, we have absolutely gone for it, selling players for huge values and also signing a ton of players to help push us up this Serie A table. Some departures to note: Toljan has left the club on a free contract at the end of his deal to go and join Freiburg in the Bundesliga. Ruan has also left the club, age 26, he's gone to sign for Hellas Verona, also in Serie A for $250,000, but you could see why you would leave with only 9 appearances in 2 years. Mulatieri has been a great servant for us, but with not long left on his contract, he decided he didn't want to sign a new deal, so we had to sell him on really or lose him for free. So he's gone to Osasuna out in Spain for £575,000. Wasn't great for us in Serie A, but was brilliant in Serie B. The 2 big sales though, the first one might not have been for a huge fee, but he was a big part of our team, especially early on. Daniel Baloka has left to go and join FC Nantes in France. France for 1.9 million. He originally signed for us for 5 mil, has played 61 games in the league across 2 seasons for us, done pretty well when called upon, but now he moves on and he got an assist in his first game, so best of luck to him. But I did dread this day would come. We lost our biggest player, our main man, Domenico Berardi, has moved on to Saudi Arabia, age 31, Al Ali, £850,000 a week. You could see why when they came in, he said he would be, distraught if we didn't let him go. So it's okay, we let him go. He's a legend of the club, he's getting a ton of money, but he did bring us a massive fee. £50 million rising to 60 for a man that is now 31 years of age is not a bad deal at all. He's been brilliant for us in Serie B and Serie A. Is he irreplaceable? I mean, potentially on that right hand side, he is that good, but hopefully we can use that money to spread across the pitch and improve the team as a whole. And that was the plan, it was what we went for, so let's start off with the most boring signing of all, a free agent goalkeeper who's coming in to be our backup. This is Leopold Zingerle, who joins us from RB Leipzig. He might not quite be Berardi, but Palestri, who's joined us on a free from Man United, will be hoping he can pick up some of the minutes on that right wing. He has joined us for absolutely nothing, let go at the end of his deal at Man U, where he hasn't played too much football at all really, so you could see why he would go, but he's going to be a nice addition to our team and hopefully can contribute off that right flank. With Toljan leaving, we needed a new backup right back, so we bring in Emil Holm. The 25-year-old Swede has joined us for 2.2 million from Bologna, where he hasn't played too much, but I think for us he'll be very good cover for Missouri. But this is where the transfers get fun. We have added some real talent to the club. Firstly, our scouts have reported on Tver Housef Naipan, which I'm very thankful for, because the 18-year-old is a fantastic wonder kid. He's only cost us 2.8 million from Rosenborg, where he has been fantastic for a few years now. If you don't know, in these rebuilds, I can't use my own knowledge and just search for players. Every player has to come through a scout report. So when I see the scouts bring back a player that I know is good, I'm always very happy about it. So yes, Naipan is in a very good midfield option. But our real replacement for Berardi is going to be the Danish 24-year-old Gustav Isaksson, who has been playing his football for Lazio in Serie A, where he hasn't been amazing, but he came from Midtjylland, where he was fantastic for them, particularly in 2022. And he did have a decent season when he played for Lazio, even though the next season he plays no football at all. I don't quite know what happened there, but we have signed him for 5.75 million, a cut price fee for a player that I think could definitely represent good value with the attributes he's got. We continue to improve our defensive line with the signing of Martin Vitic, again another wonder kid I was very happy our scouts recommended. The 22-year-old Czech defender signs for £7.25 million from Sparta Prague out in the Czech Republic, and he's now valued at over 30 million, so it seems like that's another great deal for us. But the man I'm hoping will lead us to glory up front is Nicolo Tresoldi. The 20-year-old Italian forward has signed from the Bundesliga. He's been playing at Hanover in the second tier of Germany and doing very, very well. We've paid £9.5 million for him. He's got potential to get better still. This could be a very good signing. He's usually good in Football Manager because of the pace he's got, so fingers crossed he can score us some goals in that front two partnership. And now this team is really starting to look like our own, with a lot of these players being guys we've either bought in or focused our development on. In goal, we've still got Tarati, age 23. He is looking like a very handy option. Missouri is at right back, developing nicely now, age 21, with Papetti and Malang Sarr still as our defence. Josh Doig at left back with Lapani and Solbakken in the midfield. We've then got an attack of Isaksson on the right, Loriente on the left, and then up top we've got Tresoldi and Pinamonti as a very good two forward option. Lots of pace, lots of strength, lots of dynamism, and hopefully lots of goals. The game doesn't think we've made that much of a change though, because it is still predicting us a mid-table finish, 100-1 odds of winning the title this time. 11th place predicted. The only thing I can say is all the teams above us, bar a few, do have European football, so maybe we can try and capitalise on that, have a good season with our new players, try and rise up the competition, and hopefully start qualifying for Europe. That's going to be the aim in Season 3. Okay, Season 3 is now complete, and I must say we were much better this season, not necessarily in terms of performances, but just getting over the line in certain matches, and that was probably best summed up in this match that we played against Genoa, which might go down as one of the best matches in Serie A history. This game just before Christmas was a real turning point in our season. Genoa came to visit our stadium, and after 8 minutes managed to go 1-0 up with a brilliant strike, and not too long afterwards they added a second from the penalty spot. And it looked like it was just going to be another day, another loss. 38 minutes played, 2-0 down, but out of nowhere we created a chance through Josh Doig in the left back spot, managing to make it 2-1. And with the minutes closing in till half-time, we managed to equalise. A corner came in, Pinamonti picked the ball up, volleyed it against the defender, then Loriense managed to find the ball and somehow got it in the back of the net to equalise. And clearly our half-time team talk worked because we pushed on from there. Josh Doig with a throw-in to Loriense in the box, his deflected shot falling to Isaacson, who put us in the lead. But we weren't quite done because in the 64th minute, Tresoldi received the ball high up, found Palestri, a lot of the new names that we've signed helping us get a 4-2 advantage. But Genoa weren't done. Sergio Gomez, a great signing for them, played the ball in and a corner led to it being 4-3, and with only 10 minutes to go, a long ball forward from our goalkeeper was intercepted, and only a few passes later, they'd cut through our midfield, Genoa were in, and they managed to make it 4-4. And with time ticking away, it looked like Genoa were going to add a fifth. It was the 87th minute when Lipani managed to intercept, found Palestri onto Tresoldi, Pinamonti, back to Lipani, a brilliant counter-attack, Palestri picking it up again. We then managed to play it forward. It was scrappy, but Tresoldi finished. He helped us get a massive victory, 5-4, and from that point, our season turned. We started picking up more points than before, and it led to a brilliant 5th place finish with 19 wins, only 7 losses this season, which is less than every club bar one in Inter. We did draw a lot of games though, which was our big downfall, but a great goal difference, 69 points, only just losing out to Roma for a Champions League spot. The big star of the year though was Tresoldi, the league's top goal scorer, age 21, not too far behind him, his strike partner Pinamonti, also having a very good year and now wanted by Al Ittihad. Okay, Saudi look like they're going to come in for him. We'll do our best to fend them off for our very good striker, who also got the most assists in the league and the best average match rating. It's another title win for Inter Milan. It seems the Milan clubs are dominating at this stage in FM, but a great year for us. We qualify in 5th place for European football, and with 2 years to go, that's going to be a massive boost both financially and to the team in general in terms of our reputation as we try and push on to win that title. But it's definitely not a one-man army here at Sassuolo because everybody is chipping in and having great seasons. Pinamonti and Tresoldi, of course, our main goal scorers, but outside of them, you've got the likes of Josh Doig having a great year, 7.25 average match rating, 8 goals from him from left back, Esposito scoring 3, Palestri with 9, Lipani with 6, Naipan in his first year hitting 3 goals and developing a little bit too. It's going to be hard to upgrade the team massively and try and make them a contender with the Milan clubs with only £8 million in our transfer budget, but we've done harder jobs before. That's definitely something we can work with, so I'm going to see what I can do in the transfer market. 2 years to go, let's see who we can sign in season 4. Okay, this is a very interesting window. As we saw last season, we had a great year, which was obviously a big benefit to us in terms of who we could now bring in, being a European football team, but it also meant there was a lot more interest in our players than we've ever had before. So there were some massive sales and some big signings too. Firstly, Agustin Alvarez has left the club, a 25-year-old Uruguayan forward that Sassuolo spent quite a lot of money on, and he just hasn't really been a key player for us. Was loaned out to Cologne last season, managed to get his value up a little bit, but not much, and with a year left on his contract, it made sense to sell. But here come the major sales. There's 3 to go through. The first one is Andrea Papetti, who we signed in season 1 for £2 million. He's been a great servant at centre-back, but now goes to Saudi Arabia for only £7 million. I wanted to extend his deal, which had a year left, but he said he wanted to leave. He wouldn't sign a deal because of the interest shown in him. So at that point, it's either lose him for free at the end of the year or make some cash. So we chose to make some money from him. 24 years of age, could have had a great career for us here in Italy, but he's moved on and good luck to him. But it was those Saudi sides again taking away some of our best players. Al Ittihad have swooped in and bought Malang Sarr, who somehow ends up on a bigger contract than what he had at Chelsea. So clearly, my move for him wasn't so stupid after all. He's now a Senegalese international, and to be honest, as much as he was a little bit of a joke at first, was a brilliant signing for us. He played really well, a very good ball-playing defender, some good seasons under his belt, and now moves on for £10 million to Saudi Arabia. So that was both of our starting centre-backs really moving on in this window, so we needed some new ones to join. But before we could deal with that, we had to deal with the sale of one of our best players, Pinamonti. I mentioned it earlier, he was wanted by Al Ittihad out in Saudi Arabia. They've now offered him £550,000 a week and took him off our hands. Now, I was disappointed, but as good as he is, if you look at his attributes, is he really worth 41 million? I'm not so sure. He has gone for that fee. He's been a really good player for us, particularly in Serie B. Serie A in the last season as well, did really well. He is a big loss in terms of what he provides, but I don't think he's necessarily irreplaceable in terms of his attributes. So we got to work spending all of the money that we had raised in the transfer window. Firstly, bringing in a new centre-back, Victor Guzman, a Mexican 24-year-old, has joined us as a new option in our defence. 6.5 million quid is the fee from the man from Monterrey, and I feel like he could be an excellent addition and a brilliant Malang Sarr replacement. Whilst Papetti is being replaced by the Russian defender, 26-year-old Igor Daviv, a physical presence valued at about 16 million. We spent 10 million pounds on him from Russian side CSKA Moscow, where he has been phenomenal out over there. So hopefully that will translate to Italy. They love a good centre-back in Italy, they love a strong defender, and hopefully Daviv will be that for us. We also bolstered the midfield with the signing of Yunus Musa, who actually scored against us in that first season cup run for AC Milan. Now, I imagine he didn't think his career a few years later would lead him to Sassuolo. He didn't play much at all in his time at AC Milan, so we have now bought him in for 9.75 million, just below 10 mil for the American international, who I think, for that money, is a pretty good deal. But the man that we've signed to replace Pinamonti up front is going to be Matías Arezzo, the Uruguayan 23-year-old, a Football Manager legend, has joined us for 13.5 million. He's been playing for Granada in the second tier of Spain, not just playing, but scoring pretty much a goal a game in his last 2 seasons, with assists too. He is going to be the perfect player in that forward line to partner with Trasoldi. I've got a great feeling about him, and I feel like it's going to work well. And I think in general, this team has came so far now, because our best 11 looks stacked with players. Tarati's in goal. Missouri is one of the better right backs in the league at this point. Daviv, Guzman, Doig, a very strong defence with Musa, Solbakken, Isaacson, Loriente, Trasoldi, and Arezzo finishing off the rest of our team. And that's not even considering the likes of Vitic, Palestri, Emil Holm, Esposito, Coppola, all of these great players all in our reserves and our subs, ready to get some minutes when called upon. We're going to need a big squad. This is our first year in Europe now, so we're going to hope that we can compete there as well as doing good in the league. In terms of the season preview though, we are predicted to finish 8th, so that's gone way up than before. 33-1 title odds. The game is clearly fancying the team that we're building here, and it might not be too far away to start thinking that we can be making a push for not just Champions League football, but hopefully the title race too. So our penultimate season is complete. Season 4 is over, but before we talk about what we did in the league, let's start off with our first foray into European football. And if teams in Italy were starting to realise how good we were now making our mark in Europe too. Arezzo managed to bag a hat-trick against Partizan, Sver Housef Naipan managed to score 2 in a game where we dispatched Malmo, and we even managed to beat a team from Luxembourg 10-2 in the league phase. We won 6 of our 8 games, drew 1 and lost 1, which meant we were qualifying for the round of 16 as one of the best sides in the Europa League phase, and that put us up in a tie against Athletic Bilbao. Now in the away leg we did lose 3-2, so when they came over to Italy we had big hopes of managing to dispatch them and make it to the quarters, but they went 1-0 up to make it 4-2, and not too long afterwards they showed us more quality, Williams managing to head the ball in. We did pull one back from a corner not too long after that though, with a brilliant header from Vivaldo making it 5-3. Williams scored from the spot to make it 6-3, and again it was Williams going forward who managed to slot away in the 58th minute to make it 7. We did try our best to get back in the game though, Musa and Palestri causing problems in the box, finding Arezzo, Vivaldo then managing to tap home to get 1 back. And as the minutes ticked on, it looked like we could potentially start rising a comeback as Naipan managed to score as well to pull another goal. But with the scores at 7-5, Athletic Club managed to destroy any hopes we had, another goal from them making it 8-5, and that just shows that European competition might be a step too far for our team just yet. We went into that pretty confident and came out with a humbling 8-5 defeat. But in the league we managed to beat last season's points tally by 3 points, finishing on 72 and qualifying for the Champions League in 3rd place. With a year to go, this is setting us up perfectly for a title run in next season against the Milan clubs who are really dominating the division in this save. We lost way more this year, but we did draw way less than before. if we can just work out how to not concede as many goals and not lose games like 5-0 to AC Milan, we might actually have a chance. But we definitely need to try and solidify our defensive line. But it wasn't just the European competition and the league that we were competing in this year. We can't forget about the Italian Cup. And for the first time, we managed to make it to the semi-finals against Atalanta. We drew 3-3 in the away leg, and in the home leg, Vivaldo managed to score a brilliant chip to put us 4-3 up. Atalanta, though, are clearly a very good side, one of the best sides in Serie A, and they managed to equalise with 20 minutes on the clock, somehow scoring at the near post. But with the minutes ticking away in the second half, we didn't give up, we created another chance, Vivaldo went forward, managed to score and take us to the final. For those wondering, by the way, this is Vivaldo Semedo. You might have forgot about him. We signed him all the way in our first season for 2 million, and he's just been scoring the odd goal off the bench for a few years, so I think he was worth that money. But we were going to need more than a backup striker to try and help us win this competition, as we were facing off against the Giants Inter Milan in the final. And it was a very tense game all the way until the 72nd minute, when Tresoldi received the ball in the area, managed to find Solbakken, who tucked it away with a brilliant finish, and we were only 15 minutes away from winning our first bit of silverware. But Inter Milan, of course, had different ideas. A corner came in, Bastoni managing to head towards goal, and Bilal Kounouz finishing. And just as it looked like we were heading into extra time, in the 90th minute, Inter came forward down the left-hand side once more. A bit of a scramble in the box led to Martinez scoring, and unfortunately, that was that. We lost the final of the Italian Cup 2-1. We couldn't quite get any silverware, but it was definitely a very good performance from us across all competitions this year. But our team clearly has 3 very big stars that are guiding us to these victories, Tresoldi being the main one, 32 goals in all comps. Meanwhile, Arezzo in his first year did manage to score 27, a brilliant return on investment from him, but kind of surprisingly, Isaacson, who I did sign almost as a Berardi replacement in hope, has ended up being that. He's been brilliant for us now, 26 years of age, a Danish international, great attributes as well, developed really well since being at the club. 10 goals, 13 assists this year. It took him a while to settle, but he has been fantastic for us, as have many players, but it now leaves us going into the final season with a big budget of 30 million to spend, 56,000 in the wages. At the same time, I haven't mentioned it, but we have been increasing the facilities, the academy coaching, and doing our best to make this club sustainable in Serie A for the long-term future. Our reputation's gone up massively, but now with only 1 year to go, if we want to try and win any silverware, this has to be the season to do it. Before I do show you the transfers for our final season though, as we try and push for that title, I want to ask you guys one last time, if you could, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you in the next rebuild. Speaking of rebuilds, this is probably the first season in a few years where we haven't had to do a major squad overhaul, because we haven't lost any key members. One sale was Emil Seed, who is left to go and join Salernitana for 500k. We also lost Volpato, who's gone to play for Cremonense for 500,000. And the only sales of real note were Lorient, who has gone over to Lille in France for 2.6 million, but he hasn't played as much in recent seasons, so it's not a huge loss. And Solbakken has also left the club. His release clause was activated, unfortunately, by Al Riyadh out in Saudi Arabia, 13.75 million. We do lose a pretty regular starter, but it's not the end of the world. He wasn't exactly our best player, but we have signed some top ones to take our team to another level. We've added, in my opinion, a very good forward here, Maximilian Bayer, age 24, a German attacker. Even better, we got him for free from Hoffenheim, where he's been pretty decent over the seasons for them, but I'm hoping his pace will be a massive influence in our team and helps rotate with Tresoldi and Arezzo. We are thinking of the future though, in case we do lose any of those players. We've brought in 19-year-old Admir Hazanovic, who is a very good Serbian youngster that we've signed for £1.5 million. Could rise to a little bit higher than that, but if you're anyone that continues to save over on Patreon, you've got a great wonder kid here to develop for the future. He's not the only one though. Our new backup goalkeeper is definitely going to be the future of that position as well for us. 19 years of age, international for Norway, Kim Christian Høyenhall has signed from Tromsø out in the Norwegian divisions for 2.5 million. And Juan Mendes is a fantastic central midfielder, a Uruguayan who I didn't realise we can't actually play this year because of registration issues, so let me know anyone if you do end up developing this guy, but he's already an international at 18. He's only cost us 3.9 million from Nacional. I think another great new gen to add to our lineup. But we didn't stop there. We also picked up Cadel Europe, who is a 19-year-old French wide player 5.75 million from Cannes in the second tier of French football. Could be a very good replacement for Lorient. But the best signing, the one that's going to take us to another level, I think, is Assane Ouedraogo. Brilliant midfield competition, 21 years of age, signing from Dortmund for 14 million. No idea why it didn't work out for him at Leipzig. Didn't get the game time at Dortmund either. But now he is going to be a Sassuolo player. And here is our final best 11. Tarati manages to retain his place in goal, a young player that we've developed. Mizori, another young player that we've developed, still in the team. Daviv, Guzman and Josh Doig, now one of the best left backs in world football, I would say. Yunus Musa is alongside another player that we've had around for years in Lipani, a fantastic talent at 22, and an Italian international as well now. Naipan's on the left, Isaacson on the right, Bayer, Trasoldi, Vitic's on the bench, Ouedraogo, Emil Holm, Arezzo. We have developed a crazy team here. And for those wondering, the younger generation isn't stopping. We are producing some good young talents like this guy, and even this young 16-year-old defender. So there's a big future with our academy products here too. And we go into our final season with a 5th place predicted finish, 20-1 odds of winning the title. We've stuck to our attacking football. We're going to try and play the way that we did and try and compete for that title. They might have given us 20-1 odds, but they always seem to underestimate us in Football Manager. I think we're going to be right up there with AC Milan and Inter. The question is, can we manage to beat them across the course of the whole season? And Season 5 was definitely not short of drama. It was our first year in the Champions League, so let's start there, where we just crept out of the league phase and made it into a playoff knockout round against Benfica. We lost 3-1 in one leg, and now they came to Sassuolo to try and take us out of the competition. But we had our home fans behind us in a Champions League knockout game, and that helped Naipan score a screamer. At this point, we were only a goal behind, and we had the chance to equalise. Isaacson carrying it forward in the 48th minute, he managed to get close to goal and pull it back to Musa, who tapped it in to make it 3-3. But with 10 minutes left to play, Benfica did manage to score to take the lead. And watch this, a fake shot from Bar takes it past our defender, and then he finishes brilliantly to put Benfica up front. But just as time ticked away, Arezzo played in a corner. 85 minutes on the clock, he received the ball again, floated it in, and a brilliant header from Ouedraogo managed to put us into extra time. But we're a pretty inexperienced team to be in this kind of competition, and extra time it definitely showed, as they played a ball in very late on, they headed it home. So Benfica managed to knock us out. We came out of a Champions League, but it might have been a blessing in disguise, because less time in Europe meant we could focus in on the league, where as predicted, it was a title race between us and the two Milan clubs, and we had to face off against Inter with only a few games to go of the season. A win here would mean the title would have been practically secured, but Inter Milan had different ideas, scoring after only 1 minute. But we were at our home stadium with our fans only 5 years ago were watching us in Serie B, and we weren't going to let them down. Naipan 1-1. And it didn't take too long afterwards for us to create another chance. Restes with a poor clearance from the punch, Naipan rising highest, and Isaacson tucking it away to make it 2-1. That was in the 42nd minute, and clearly we had our tails up, because in the 43rd we went forward again, Musa playing it through to Maximilian Bayer, who made us 2 goals ahead. And for once we managed to keep our defence pretty strong from there. We managed to beat Inter, and from that we just had to win a few easy games, which we did, and the title in a very close race was ours. I say it was a close season. We've definitely had closer ones here on the channel, but 93 points is an excellent return of results. Only 5 losses, all against big clubs, 3 draws. 93 points is exceptional, because Inter and AC were not too far away at all, right behind us, right till the very last, but we managed to do it. 5 losses, 3 draws, 30 wins. What a set of results there. We managed to do it with lots of great young players in this team as well. Lots of players that have been with us for a while. I mean, Lipani had his best season yet out of nowhere. No wonder he is an Italian international. Trasoldi isn't just a great goal scorer for us. He scored 13 and 14 for the national side. Overall, some massive performances, plenty of goals, and you could see why this year was the year we won it. Even Cadel Europe, who we signed for 5 million, has gone out and scored a ton of goals. So well done to him, well done to the team. Max facilities in pretty much every area. Great training facilities as well. This has definitely been a super fun rebuild with the players we were able to sign. You might have noticed we did start with Sassuolo in Serie B. I've now got mods on the game which allow me to have the teams in their right positions after 23-24. So let me know who you want to see next. We can do current season ones like Ipswich in the Prem, Leicester in the Prem, whoever you want to see, we can do it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.